When my son asked me if he could be involved in professional sport, I said yes, of course you can. And he said how? He said there's no one in sport who has any of the challenges that I do. My aim was to find these athletes, coaches, professionals, and interview them and share their stories so that we can show the world what is beyond perception. Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond Perception podcast, a podcast created to explore the world of sport and the people who are involved in it. From the athletes, coaches and staff who are both on our screens and behind the scenes. And further to this, we want to delve deeper into the neurodiverse and physical disability of our guests and learn out what it takes to get them where they are and inspire others out there. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Tatjana. Tatjana, how are you?
Hello, I'm okay. I'm all right. Sun shining. I can tell you're on your end, the sun shining as well. So it's a good day. It's a good, exciting day. How are you, Greg?
I'm all right. I'm not so bad. As you can see, the sun is, as always, in Wigan shining. And yeah, it's quite nice. It's been a change of weather for us recently. We've gone from freezing cold to have some good days. So it's been quite nice. Been able to get out and spend some time with the family. What about yourself? What have you been up to?
Really depressing because here in the Netherlands, like, it's so sunny, but I've just got exams. So I'm just in my room revising while the sun is shining through my window, and I'm on my end of the building, like the sun is always on my side. So just yeah, this is my seasonal depression. But anyways.
Oh wow, okay. I was saying we've also noticed your hand is now not in a cast either. Everything all right with your hand?
Yeah, it was for a bit. Now it's fine. It's all right. It's the thumb's working. Everything's fine. But the cast is just I was going to say the podcast. The cast is just here for the memories now. So
nice.
Yeah.
And have you been back on a bike since?
Yeah, I actually have. Yeah, I didn't for a week because I was just PTSD. But now I'm getting that strength back.
Excellent. Good. Now, Alicia, tell us about our guest this week. Who have we got?
So, very exciting, very special because it's the first female we're going to have on this podcast, and she is a full-time rugby player. She's also quite special because she's a client of ours in the RWSM Sporting Agency. She's had a busy year. She's already been to Canada and Australia already, and she plays for PWR's Loughborough Lightning and also the GB7s. So she's got a lot of good stories to tell, I think. So I'm very excited. But of course, as usual, before she joins, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and also follow along. You can also follow on our Instagram, Beyond Perception Podcast. And yeah, before we start, grab your drinks, grab your headphones, maybe even speakers, and let's get ready to introduce our guest.
How are you, by the way? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Been in training camp this week, so a bit tired today. Got back last night. It was quite a heavy week, and then we fly to Hong Kong next week for 3 weeks.
Where was camp?
So, yeah, where?
Yeah, sorry.
It was in London, so we're based at London Irish's ground in Sunbury. That's where we're sort of based this season. So yes, it's all camp based, sort of like one every couple of weeks when we come back from competitions.
Nice.
Well, thank you so much for fitting us in.
Of course, no problem.
Very busy schedule. I was just telling Greg that you've already been to Canada, is it, and Australia?
Yeah, I missed out Cape Town and Dubai at the start of the year because I broke my hand, so that was sort of a late minute.
What happened there?
We had like a pre-season tournament in Gibraltar, and we played against France, and literally just got smashed in a tackle. My hand just gave way. It like blew up instantly, and I was like, oh no.
Did you finish the game or come off?
Finished the game, yeah.
Good.
Somehow
Good.
I know the adrenaline I think kicked in. I came off and I was like, how did I keep on playing? And they were like, it's called adrenaline.
Yeah, when it kicks in good.
Yeah, it does.
It's funny because Tatjana's got a very similar story to how she hurt her arm, didn't you?
Similar, yeah, very similar. No, I smashed my hand on a bike coming towards me because, like, cycling. Went to the wrong lane and just kind of
Go on, keep going.
Wrong lane and just collided on the side. Huh?
Their fault though, yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
As you can see, we're joined by Alicia Maude. Alicia, thank you for coming on to the podcast and joining us. How are we?
Yeah, we're good today. Yeah, a bit sore this week. Been a heavy week in training, but happy to chat to you guys today and talk about the condition and sort of my life, I guess.
Yeah. No, look, we're really made up to have you. We said in the intro, you're our first female athlete to come on the podcast, so it's really exciting for us both to be able to have you and have this conversation and learn from you and also probably learn a little bit from a female perspective. So I think there's going to be some really good conversation. I think we're going to learn a lot from you, and hopefully people listening are going to learn a lot from yourself as well. So you're talking about you're in camp. Give us a little bit about yourself for those who don't know you, about your sporting background. Why are you in camp, and how did you get to that point?
So I'm a professional rugby player for Great Britain. I play sevens, so it's a slightly faster game than 15s. We travel all around the world, so places in like Dubai, Australia, Hong Kong, LA, and we compete throughout the year from December to sort of May. It's sort of a lot like quicker game than 15s. So it's also played in hotter places. So again, it adds a bit more excitement to the games. But yeah, so I've been in training camp this week. We're based down in London, and we're sort of preparing for upcoming double leg competition. We'll go to Hong Kong and Singapore next week. So it's been a good week.
Nice. So it's a busy lifestyle, I can imagine.
Yeah, definitely busy. There's a lot of time sort of living out of a suitcase, packing bags. You sort of spend a lot more time away than you do sort of in your own house, but it's good and it's the life that I enjoy living at the moment.
Excellent. And how do you get into sevens? How does that happen? Because obviously the seven circuit's not at a junior age. It's not a common thing, is it? It's more as you go older and grow up. So how did you get into the sport?
Sorry. So I think everyone's journey is slightly different. So I got picked up through sort of the under-20s pathway. So I played 15s for under-20s England. But one of my friends, Grace, had sort of like a similar sort of pathway story. We got picked up from there just sort of after COVID. I think it was after the Tokyo Olympics. I got brought in literally. So I was actually working as a builder at the time. I remember I was working on site, and I remember like I got a text one day being like, "Oh, can you come into sevens? I'm the GB head coach." And I thought someone was like playing a joke on me. I didn't believe it at first. And then before I knew it, I had my first 2 caps sort of in a tour in Canada. That was sort of 2021, I think. And I've sort of been playing for GB and England in and out across the Commonwealth Games. Sort of been playing on the World Series for the last 4 years. But I'd say everyone's journey is very different, but it's like one hell of a career to be in, and I hope that I'm in it for a very long time.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it, and it sounds really interesting, and there's so many things already. So you were a builder, so I'm guessing. Yeah. So how did you how did you go on the site, and where were you whilst you were on the site? Was that full time? Were you at uni? Were you
So I was at uni. I dropped out, which is quite a common thing for people like me. I lasted, I think, like 2 months. Didn't like uni, didn't like the work, didn't like having to do assignments, anything. That was at Hertford University in Gloucester. So I was there, and then I was playing for the PWR side, Gloucester Hertford at the time. And the coach was like, "Well, if you're not going to do uni, you need to get a job." And in like sort of my summers in school and college, I was doing sort of work on building sites, and I wanted to be a bricklayer. I wanted to be outside. I didn't want to have sort of like a job sitting by it, like in an office sort of thing. So it just bores me quite a lot. So I'd done a few years of that, sort of just get like picking up skills. And then I did that sort of my first year of uni for about like 7-8 months, I think. Working for a great company in Cheltenham. Actually, they really supported me playing rugby. And then I literally just, as I said, just got a call one day being like, can you come play rugby for us? And I was like, sure. And then I actually never ended up going back. So I said I'll be back in a couple of weeks, and then they never seen me again. So I hope they don't listen to this.
As long as they're not giving you holiday pay still, you're okay.
Yeah, no, I think they stopped that fairly swiftly.
So did you qualify then? Did you do your qualifications to be a brickie?
I never. Again, a bit of a common theme. So I don't really follow through with tasks. So I'm just sort of like a general labourer. I do sort of the odd jobs here and there. I still do jobs for like my parents if they want like walls built or like patios laying. So I've got a wide variety of skills. Like I can do roofs, I can do bathrooms, honestly anything. Like I want to build my own house, but balancing that with sort of playing rugby internationally is so difficult, and there's still so many female athletes, even in like the 15s league, that balance two jobs, and hands down to them, because I don't know how they do it, because I really struggled. Like, I had to go to 4 days a week when I was doing it, and then I'd get to training, be absolutely knackered, and like the circle would just keep on going. I'd get to work, be so tired. So yeah, I'm so glad that like I have a full-time rugby playing job. It's unreal.
No, it sounds really interesting, and it sounds, again, like you say, it's very busy, very chaotic, and you've mentioned already a couple of times things like you don't follow through with things, and you've mentioned the condition. You've already mentioned little snippets around why things are sometimes a bit more difficult for you. So we'll go a little bit early with this. Do you want to tell us a little bit around why you use them phrases, and what it is you're talking about?
Yeah, so I've got ADHD and autism. I think people narrow it down to AUDHD. So I think I've always known that I've had it. I was very like late diagnosis, and I think it kind of shocks people when I first tell them, because I'm quite high functioning, so I can mask things quite well. So like day-to-day life for me is really important for me to have a routine. Currently I live on my own, and for me that's great, but for a lot of other people I think they'd find it like quite boring. Like, but for me it's great because I have a constant, like I know exactly how things are going to be, especially when I spend a lot of my time traveling and away with like people in competitions and in camps. It's great for me to be able to sort of come back to an environment that is almost like a safe place. And for someone with autism, it's very hard in sort of this, I guess like my career, it is quite hard to sort of have a constant, and to sort of be able to be yourself and to feel safe in environments. But so yeah, as I said, so I'm autistic. Like not many people I guess know about it at the moment. I don't think it's a widely spoken topic, especially in sport. And I don't think rugby necessarily is adapted to sort of the world for neurodivergent people. And we can get onto that later, but I guess for me, I just try to be myself a lot of the time. And if people don't understand me, I don't take it too personally. I have like a small circle. I find it hard to trust people. But when I do, like I will do anything for them. I care for people so deeply, and like my teammates, I think they like some of them are so good, and they're really supportive with me, and I really find that like it just that makes my days so much easier.
That's amazing. So you've mentioned that, rugby is not really modified to it, but we'll speak about that later, like you said. But could you speak more about your diagnosis? You said you had a late diagnosis, so how late, and also like what got you to get the diagnosis as well?
So I guess it started at school. So I was diagnosed with dyslexia, which like I think is quite a common thing with people like me as well. So like really struggled to read and just sort of like manage at school and in college. Like was always late doing my homework, would leave things to the last minute, hated revision. And then I went to college, and I don't think I passed my BTEC, which to some people I think is a bit silly, because BTECs, I don't know how you don't pass them because there's not too much work. But again, for me, it was doing assignments like I don't know, once a month was to me like hell. So I'd do everything to put it off. Ended up, I think barely scraping through in the end, and then somehow got into uni. Again, dropped out of that because even more assignments was just like a nightmare. So then I've obviously been playing sevens for like the last few years. So I guess like the cognitive aspect of sort of life almost like was put to the side. And it wasn't till sort of last year, it was the Olympic year. It was really stressful. Like everyone's on edge. Don't know if we're going to go to tournaments throughout the year, let alone like the big Olympic selection. And for me, I think my mind just like was so busy with everything that's going on, let alone like day-to-day routines, being okay for training, like being able to sit through meetings. And I spoke to one of the physios, and I was like, I can't concentrate. Like I don't have energy when I need to. You know, I can find that I'm like almost annoying people, and they're like, why are you doing that? So I got sent to a really nice lady in London, had like a chat, went through like a self-assessment kind of thing, and she asked me some questions, and at the end it kind of took me by surprise, but she was like, I've just done the assessment for ASD, and I was like, oh, what's that? And she's like, autism. And I was like, oh, well, I wasn't expecting that. Like I thought you were just going to tell me that I'm just like a bit hyperactive, whatever. So I guess that was in like June, July last year. So it's very much like a recent diagnosis. But again, with the whole putting tasks aside, so you sort of have to fill out some forms so like they can get to know you and fully diagnose you. I got sent those in June, July, and I think I've only just completed them in February. So it took me quite a few months to actually just send back some simple forms, just to people, not like anyone else would do them the same day. It's taken me like way too long to even send those back. So just, I guess if that is kind of gives anyone an insight to my life, maybe understand me a bit better, don't send me a form ever, please.
But it's so true in what you say. We've spoken to a number of people, and I suppose in many ways, other than our very first guest, which was Noah, you're the first the real athlete we've had after him who's talked about the ADHD side.
Yeah.
And the ADHD side very much sounds like the idea of I'll get a form, but I'll do it when I need to do it, and then the deadline comes, and then you go, crap, I've got to get it done by tomorrow or in the next 3 hours, and it just catches up with you on that cycle. So that sounds, I mean, personally as well, that sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
And in fact, some of the stories or some of your journey already definitely replicates some of my background as well, which is really interesting. So you're definitely giving us a real insight to you now as that person and the individual. And where I'm interested to know is, prior to the diagnosis, how did people respond to you within the rugby environment? And then I suppose the follow-up question would then be, what changed once the diagnosis happened, if anything at all?
So I think prior, I think I was almost given like a label that I had ADHD, just like people could sort of understand that I was like full of energy. Like I wasn't even aware of it, but I would just like make noises all the time, just be like always singing, always making noises. Well, until someone said, they were like, I was like, oh, I'm so tired. And they were like, well, no wonder, you never stop, you never shut up. And I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. Like maybe I need to be a bit more aware of that. I think prior to that, people were like, they would just kind of let me be myself. Didn't really like think too much into it, and if I had like a weird moment, they probably just like wouldn't say anything, which is probably fair enough. But then I think after the diagnosis, it was much more of a understanding it for me. Like I was actually quite upset after the diagnosis, because to me, sort of being given a label as like being autistic was quite a shock. And I guess my like prior knowledge to it was that when you're being put in a box, it's almost like you then can't go and do certain things. You have to have constant help. Like you probably can't have much of a life, but it's actually totally the opposite. So I think I told like 2 or 3 people, and they kind of said the same. They're like, it doesn't change you, it doesn't mean anything else, like it probably will make your life quite a lot easier. And I'd say it took me like at least a month to sort of come to terms with it fully. But since then, like I've learned so much about myself, and as I said, living with myself I think has helped me massively as well. Like I tell people if I need to, like I tell my coaches, and I think that gives me a much better relationship with them, especially sort of in the sporting world. They're very understanding. They're like, do you need any help? I guess there's one thing that comes to mind is that when we go away on tour, like I don't necessarily do meet and greets. Like we do sort of squad visits, and I actually just take myself out of that situation because it's so overwhelming. Like it will then tire me out for like the next 4 or 5 days, and come game day I might not be in the best place, and they're really great with understanding that actually that's not what I need. So I think that's probably been a massive learning for me. But yeah, as I said, my close friends are really helpful. They just kind of let me be myself, and sometimes they don't take too much notice, which I think is probably the best way to go about it.
I love that, and I love the detail that you're going into, and it's making my mind go on so many tangents. So like, for the example, like, so you don't do the meet and greets because it like you said, it's overstimulating and it fatigues you for later on in the day. So was that a conscious decision by you, or was that a conscious decision made between you and your coach?
I think it was definitely more, it came from like myself, and I do kind of feel a bit guilty because I guess for like we talk about in our squad about the younger generation and like giving them something to look up to, and I guess there probably are a lot of people out there like me, younger versions of myself, and yeah, at times I do feel guilty that I don't often give them something to aspire to sort of be like me, and it's okay to be neurodivergent, but I have to almost put myself first in that situation. Because as I said, like it's not just then later in the day that I'm tired for. Like next day I could be completely like emotionally drained, and that might be the day that we actually would like we could be doing a captain's run that day, and we need to be on it. And for me, I think I do just have to sometimes put myself first and take myself out of the situation completely, and that helps me massively. Especially so what we're away for 3 weeks. These next kind of few months. And like you're with people all the time, you have a roomie, you never really get a second to yourself, which is fine because we all get on. But at the same time, in terms of like my mental capacity, it's a lot to have to like manage and constantly deal with.
And I mean, first of all, I think even just by doing this podcast, I think you are such an inspiration for people and the younger generation, because what they're doing is they're hearing what every neurodivergent potential athlete has to go through. And yes, every experience will be slightly different, but what you're doing is you're setting that platform to say that you can be part of a team. You don't have to do that activity because it's not right for you, because it's what helps you is not what helps everybody else.
Yeah.
Or actually, in many ways, what helps you does help everybody else,
Yeah,
but it's
for sure.
not exactly the same. So I think, first of all, I think it's amazing that you do that. And when you get the chance to go back and listen to Noah's podcast, like, you'll be able to hear where the whole concept of our conversations have all come from, which was Noah having a Tourette's tic attack in the middle of a rugby pitch, and looking up and going, I don't know where I am on the pitch, missing a tackle, and then walking off to go and do like a self-soothing treatment, and then going, there's nobody like me who plays sport. And I was like, you know what I mean? And actually, like, what you're doing is you're doing exactly what we wanted, and proving to everyone that there are so many different types of people out there, and that what you're going through is normal, but also it's what people need to hear and see. So first of all, I think it's amazing that you're open and you're talking the way you are. So thank you very much for
Thank you,
that.
I appreciate that.
And the other bit, because the coaching part of me is going, and my head's going 100 miles an hour right now. But so, like, I'm curious, like, so you sit down. So give me an example. We sat down in a team meeting. Now I know what these team meetings can be like. So you sat down in your team meeting, and it's a unit review followed by a team review, and then the agenda set out for the rest of the week. So we're talking 45 minutes maybe on these reviews.
Yeah.
Where do you sit? How do you sit? What do you do?
So
how does that go?
I sort of have like a 20-minute cap on meetings, and I've kind of let the coaches know, but obviously they can't always help that. So when I feel myself like staring out the window, looking at the lights, like listening to other noises in the room, I kind of have like a secret deal with the coaches. Like, I just take myself out of the meeting for like 5-10, go make a tea, go and just like have a moment to myself, and then come back in, and I'm sort of, my concentrations come back a little bit, and I can do that as many times as I want. But I guess sometimes I sit at the front because then I'm like, I can focus here, I'm not looking at anyone else, I can just see the board. And sometimes I'll like put myself in the corner on a comfy chair. So I think it's very varied. Like I'll often have something in my hand, like a cup of tea, or maybe like, I don't know, a fidget toy or something to eat, something, so that I can then focus like my other attention on that. So then I have almost more energy to then listen to the meetings, which might sound a bit strange to people, but it just works for me. So yeah, I think sometimes we have like hour-long meetings, and I'm like, whoa. But also other people in the room are feeling that as well, so it's not just me. So I feel a bit more human when I'm like, I didn't take actually anything from that, but I was just there. So definitely sort of like taking like a 5-minute break has been massive. But also, I'm not much of like I don't take too many notes, but I might take like 3 or 4 words from the entire meeting that I'm like, right, when I look back at it, that's what I'll then go on the pitch, and I can remember that. There was like a meeting a couple of seasons ago, and a couple of the girls remember it, but it was like a detailed analysis meeting before a tournament. You play like 5-6 teams over a weekend, you need to analyse all of them. And one page was just like, put 9 on the floor. And everyone else had done like pages and pages of notes, but for me it was actually just like one thing. And everyone was like, is that all you got from that? And I'm like, yeah, that's all I need. So I definitely like take a different approach to other people potentially, but I guess at the end of the day it's what works for me.
Oh, brilliant. Again, I love that sharing. I really think it's brilliant what you're saying there. And again, I think it's really relatable to a lot more people.
Yeah, I'm sure there are many people that sort of have the same struggles out there.
The episodes we had before, some individuals touched upon like note taking in meetings and speaking in crowds and stuff like that. And then it very varies. Like, we had someone who never takes notes and just takes everything in straight away. We've had people who don't like speaking, some who do it at once. So I think I just want to touch on back what you said, how, like, for example, you not doing meet and greets and stuff like that, like, especially with your diagnosis being so recent, it's even better to just listen to what you think and what you know is right for you.
Right, I'm going to bring us back to a question, Tatjana, if that's all right. Just so what I'm really interested now is, and I'm digging in a little bit on this coaching side from that point of view, because again, you're the first athlete or your second athlete we've had, but the first professional athlete. So within the playing group, obviously, are they aware? And if they are, do they have an understanding of how to help you and to support you? Or do they recognise things within you to try and give you that help? Or is it very much more of a case of you're fully in control of it and everybody else just leaves you be?
So I think definitely like on pitch is probably a balance of both. So like I hate being a demo. So if we're doing a new and like like a new drill, I hate being a demo because I don't know what the coach is telling me to do. I don't know where he wants me to be, and then I actually can't understand what we're then supposed to go and do. So I try and, I mean, obviously if you're told to be the demo, it's quite hard to get out of. But like I'll always maybe like take a step away from like the main circle and just like make sure I'm watching. And for me, I'm sure people will understand when I say this, that I need to see something like 2 or 3 times before I've got it. The first time they're doing the drill, but like a plane's gone over and I've actually heard that, and we don't get another chance of watching the drill. So then I'll be like, wait, what are we doing, to my partner or like the person that we're in the group that we need to do the skill with. So like they are very understanding. I'll be like, oh, I didn't actually, I was fully looking, but I was zoned out of that entire drill. So like that happens more often than not. I'd say at least like once a session, which is totally fine. And maybe then I'll just won't do the first couple reps of like the drill, I guess. So definitely the coaches and the players are quite understanding with that. But I guess off the pitch is maybe more where like it's less of a, like I'm less helped, I guess, because it's sort of like you have your routine, like you do your gym stuff. Whereas on pitch, it's very much like, if we're doing it here, we're doing it now, and if you don't get it, then you can almost like have another chance to try and get it. But I guess away from that, like analysis, yeah, as I said, like in the gym and meetings, we're on when we're on, and if you're not, then you kind of need to catch up at some point. But for me, like I'll just put that off. So I guess it's quite difficult from that side of things.
Okay, and then just I'm curious because when we're talking, I feel like there's a lot of the ADHD side which sounds really, or it sounds more obvious right now in terms of that hyperactivity or that attention deficit. Where does the autistic side, the ASD, where do you think that part of you is evidenced a little bit?
I think it's definitely in my routine. Like I have the same warm up for every session. Like so I'm the team DJ, so like that's even part of my routine. Like we have this massive boom box, like that's my job to look after. Like I defend it with my life. Like if you want to take it off me, like good luck. So like I guess that's almost part of it. I think almost like wearing the same clothes, like make sure I'm having like the same kind of pair of socks. Obviously they're all washed and clean, don't worry. But I guess like wearing like the same kind of kit. I eat the same thing for breakfast pretty much like every day. Like I think I've had scrambled eggs and a bagel. To some people this is probably going to be like, what on earth are you doing? But I probably had it for like the last 9 months. Before that it was like poached eggs. Before that it was like porridge that I had literally had every day for about 2 years. And I guess looking back, I'm like, that is such a key trait. But at the time I was like, I just think it's my favorite meal. And I probably eat the same thing for like lunch and breakfast when I cook for myself like every day. And that's just, again, it's like, it's my safe space, I know it. So I think that probably helps as well. But I guess maybe going back to the on-pitch side of things, there are times when I'm not even aware that I'm so overwhelmed. There was actually like a time in Perth in January. We had a session, it was like a chill one, but for me, I'm either 0 or 100. So like, you can't tell me to jog to something. And the coach was like, you need to calm down, like you're being too erratic. And I took that really personally, and I kind of shut down. And then for, I'd say, like the next 20 minutes of the session, like I wasn't really there. And it wasn't until a couple of girls were like, are you okay? Like, it's okay. If you need to take a second, like you're fine. You're still doing everything fine. But I took it really personally that I was almost told to calm down, because as me, like I'm quite comfortable in myself until I'm aware that I'm doing something that I maybe shouldn't be. So I guess it's time like that, which they don't happen too often, but I think it's like the more they happen, the more I understand myself. And I guess I'm still that's the bit I'm still learning to deal with. Like physio even said to me yesterday, he was like, you need to stop running in sessions because you're doing too much. And I'm like, well, what do you mean we're training? Like I can't get my head around the fact that you want me to not run, especially in sevens, like it's so fast. And he's like, well, just like between the drills you need to chill out. And again, that's something that I'm still sort of understanding in my own, like my own mind, like what that actually means and what that looks like for me.
Wow. And again, my coaching head's going intense, doesn't it? So apologies, I'm asking loads of questions on this,
Okay.
but like, as a coach, how would I help you with that? So like, clearly you're saying at the moment you're unsure about how you go from, if we're training, we're on, and we're on. And
Yeah.
in rugby, you hear that phrase a lot. I use it a lot with my lads. It's like when we flip the switch and we're on, we're on.
Mm.
And I try and get them to learn, though, we can flick the switch off and we can have that moment. But obviously, you're talking about sometimes it's a bit difficult or hard for you to process at the moment. So how would a coach help you, or can they not? Or,
Yeah.
not can they not, but what things do you think would be able to help you in that situation?
So I think in terms of like coaching pointers, like little and often, don't give us too much to like think about. Give me one thing to do, I'll go and do it. And if I'm not doing it, then you can maybe be like, remind me because I might have forgotten. Or if I have done it, like praise is really good. So like yesterday in the session, the coach was like, "You're having a really good session," and I was like, "Oh, like I didn't actually think I was, but thanks." Like that's now giving me a bit more confidence. I think almost less is more a lot of the time. Maybe giving like the people in the session like a goal to go after. That's something that I find really helpful. And then like at the end, I'm like, did I do that? Okay, no. Well, then I still need to focus on it for the next one. And if I did do it, great. I don't need to change anything. Like simple is often the best way. Like a lot of times things are overcomplicated, and then it's like, how do I process any of what I'm supposed to do now? Yeah, I think like praise is obviously good, but maybe not too much. I think it's hard to find the balance. You don't want to feel like you're like being put, I guess, in a box, being like, oh, this is really good, but maybe just like once in a session, just being reminded that you are actually doing fine is really helpful.
Oh, brilliant. No, I really appreciate that. That's a really good share again, but thank you. Right. Well, what we'll do is we'll take a quick break and we'll have a quick message from our sponsors, and then we'll get back into a bit more if that's right with you.
Nice, brilliant.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Beyond Perception podcast. It is now time to say a big thank you to our sponsors, the Brain Charity. They're a national charity based in Liverpool, founded to support all people with neurological conditions. They offer practical advice, emotional support, and a range of physical and social activities. How they achieve this is by organising a range of activities and events, for example, all the classes that they have in the Neurogym. They also work with physiotherapists to provide best support and care for you. But don't worry, they also have digital ways to connect and help you. How you can help them is by directly donating through their website, or you can fundraise a game or a marathon maybe. For corporations, you can work with them on organising different events, for example, team building. They can also help you enhance your inclusivity policies, making your workplace more inclusive, and also you can refer any of your staff members with neurological needs to them for any of their facilities. To find out more how you can help the Brain Charity and how the Brain Charity can help you, visit them on their website, www.thebraincharity.org.uk. Support, raise awareness, and also raise understanding for all neurological conditions, and empower individuals and families to manage their condition and also realise their full potential. Massive thank you again to the Brain Charity for partnering up with us on this podcast and also letting us share this important message. Now let's carry on with the episode. So in the break, you mentioned about the scanning concussion test, so I was wondering if you can elaborate more and share your experience as well.
Yeah, so obviously rugby is a contact sport, so there's a lot of injuries, including head knocks. And I guess at the start of the season, you have to have a baseline for that because concussion is quite a research thing at the moment. Obviously, you don't want to then have problems later on in life. So we do a thing called like a SCAP baseline test. And it's a mixture of questions either on a screen or in person. And it's basically a massive memory test. And for someone like me, that's my worst nightmare. So I did one, I think maybe like September time, and it was online. It was a series of patterns you had to remember, words, you have to then repeat them back, and then at the end of the whole test, you have to do like the months of the year backwards. You have to say some numbers backwards. You have to like say if a word that pops up is one that you've seen already before. And to me, so my mind's all over the place as it is. This is honestly my worst nightmare. And I don't know if I should probably share this, but so it took me about 5-6 attempts to do it. And I was actually at my parents' house at the time, and I said, "Mum, you've got to come do this with me because there's no way I'm passing it." Because the ones that I have face to face, it already says that I'm concussed because I can't even pass the test. So for me, like it's honestly it's awful going like even knowing that I'm about to do this test, I'm already like putting myself down because I've never really passed one, even if I'm not concussed. So let alone coming off a rugby pitch, you might get a head knock and you might be concussed, or it's just like safety checks. You have to do an HIA test, which is what we do, because we wear these gum shields which like register head knocks, and they're really good. But often they might just pick up on like a little knock, which actually is like you are fine, you can still carry on playing, but you have to be taken off, and it's the protocols. And as soon as that happens, like, I'm like, oh well, I'm not coming back on. I'm not playing again because there's no way I'm passing this. And I had one last year in LA. My teammate's knee whacked me in the head, get taken off, do an HIA. I'm like a bit all over the place. HIA test done. You have to like walk in a line. You have to say some words repeated back to you. Again, do like the months of the year backwards. I'm thinking about the game. I don't even know what the score is currently. I just know that I've just been taken off the pitch, which I don't want to do, which I want to spend as much time on the pitch as possible. You then put me in like a weird room with no windows, with people asking me questions. Like I'm hot, I'm sweaty, I need a drink, and then you get asked all these questions, and it's like a complete memory test. And I like there's no chance of me passing them ever, and I failed it twice. So like I mean I might have been concussed, I might not, but I guess for someone like me, it's not the best test because my baseline is so below average that I'm never gonna come out of that room and still be able to go back and play on the pitch.
So was that one in LA? Was it? Was that after your diagnosis?
No, it was actually before. So LA was in March last year, so like this time last year. Right. And it was like, so it's a 3-day tournament. You have 2 games a day. I think this was game 4, like day 2. I think game 4. Get taken off for playing Fiji. As I said, knee to the head. Go do an HIA, fail it. Next day, get another chance to do it. And I think I actually made it through, but they'd been given some hints that they were like, you need to just take your time with having this test because this is not her strength at all. So yeah, I don't think that the tests are very well suited to me at all, and especially other people. And I know that like my friends that are just like don't really struggle with things the way that I do find them hard as well. But concussion is such a serious part of rugby, and I guess the long-term health effects that it has. Obviously, it needs to be done, but I think there's definitely some research that can be done around making the test more accessible to people that struggle with aspects of life like that.
It's really interesting you say that. There's 2 things that come to mind. One, the increased knowledge in concussion and how we protect our athletes is massive, and 100% understand both sides as an athlete, and as you as a professional athlete, and me as a pretend one when I was a kid. Like you want to play every minute, and you don't really care about the long term. Not that you don't care about long term future, but you are really engrossed, aren't you, when you're on the field? Like in that moment, you want to be there for your team. And I'm sure you, like you said, you appreciate the actual reason why these are in place.
Yeah, of course,
it's huge
now.
At
the end of the day.
Yeah, massively. But it's interesting. So I've helped do some of the SCAT testing for some players, and one of the first set of questions on the paper is, do you have any learning difficulties or dyslexia? Yeah. Have you been diagnosed with ADHD, and do you have any other learning difficulties? Or no, so there's one other question like around depression or anxiety disorders as well. And it's really interesting because I don't know, I'm not in that medical background, but I don't know when you tick yes to any of them. I don't know how that then impacts your scoring. Or
I don't think the test changes at all. I don't know if it's then taken into like account for when you get your own results.
Yeah.
Because when you go and do an HIA, when you come off the pitch, you don't get asked those questions.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting because again, like you say, like with knowing that about the athlete and knowing that about yourself, then you surely would be aware that your responses are going to be slightly different to what we'd expect from
and it's
what
also
would be
done on how long you take to answer a question. So like, if you're thinking about the question, which most of the time I do, instantly that's like a fail, which is really unfair because I'm just taking my time and I'm taking in all like the environment around me, and then I'm taking in that you're asking me a question.
Yeah, and I mean, right now I can't even do the months of the year in reverse now, and I know that question. Like, and Tatjana's doing it in her head right now.
That would be an instant fail for you. So
yeah, like it's crazy, and I can't count backwards in 7 from 88 or something either. Like, you know, some of the questions are just a little bit strange, aren't they?
They are very wild. Yeah,
I
don't know. If, like, maybe you could have like a different almost test for people that are neurodivergent just to make it a bit easier, or if it's just like a actually you get head knocked, then you don't get a chance of doing the test, which I don't know if that would be easier or harder, but you probably wouldn't have to go through the hard questions at the end of the day.
Yeah, qualify that. We're not saying that SCAT tests are not required for any athletes.
They're definitely needed. They're definitely
we're not,
the game.
none of us are medically in a position to say anything else, so hopefully no one thinks that while we're talking about this, but it's just a really interesting discussion.
Disclaimer, yeah. Yeah, that's why I was wondering if it was before or after your diagnosis when you had that one. Like, do you tell them? How does it change? But it makes sense now. You mentioned how the exams need to change to be suitable more for neurodivergent people, and then you mentioned how rugby as well isn't really friendly in that sense. Could you explain, like, elaborate more, share your experience if something directly pops into your mind, or someone else's experience as well?
Yeah, so obviously I play professional sport, and like the expectation is that you are at a certain level. But I guess like day-to-day training and stuff, there are sort of already challenges that I've already faced before I've even got on the pitch. And I think sometimes when you're sort of dealing with those yourself, you can almost like not necessarily myself, but I've definitely felt it across like my careers. People almost like look at you in a certain way and you're like, are you okay? And I guess the stigma around it, you kind of just need to let neurodiverse people be comfortable in not being okay at times. And I guess I experienced it recently. I went to watch a rugby game at Harlequins in London, and we were walking. So some of the girls play for Quins. So we got access to like the players' box, and I walked past the room, and it was like a sensory room. And I guess it's mainly for like kids and like parents if you bring your kids today that really struggle with like loud environments. So you can sort of go in this room, and it's very calming. But there isn't really one for adults, I guess. And of course, like, as an adult, you should just be able to manage your life, and like big occasions, and like especially sport ones, like playing in a stadium, thousands of people, there's so many noises, there's lights, there's so many things going on. That's not taken into account at all. And like actually, if there was a room like that, or when I go and play in a tournament, I would happily sit in there and just be in my own world. But it's almost sort of you're like given an expectation that you are fine because like you're matured and that you can maybe mask things well. But at the end of the day, if like more things were put in place, I think people will be surprised at how many people I guess took advantage of them and sort of actually benefited from the help. Because as I said, it's sort of given to the younger generation going through those difficulties and like managing life. But I still struggle with those things, and like just as much as, I don't know, like me when I was 12. So I don't think necessarily the like life sort of age as well as you get older. Like it's not taken into account for the struggles that you might face. Just like going to the shops. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point to look at, and it's really interesting. Again, like you say, there are lots of different provisions put in place, but they're not necessarily put in place for everybody. They're always kind of identified for maybe one reason or the other, rather than it being an open environment for everybody. I think that's really interesting. And I also wonder, just again, randomly where it comes in my head, but like you were talking about, like it's not always accessible. How do you have anything, like you said before about wearing the same clothing and the kit and things like that? Is there a stimulus around the clothing you wear, and does your playing kits support that, or is it not an issue for you?
So I guess texture is a big one for me. I've almost have like a phobia of socks at sometimes. Like I have to take my socks off, and I guess until my diagnosis, I didn't understand that was actually part of it. So like I guess other textures that I really hate are like dry sponges. To me, like I like have a panic attack if I come near like a dry sponge, which to other people like is laughable. Like my mum laughs at me every time. Like she'll like chase me with a dry sponge, and I'm like, please get away from me because I'm gonna cry. But I guess the textures of the kit, I guess sometimes is fine. Like the socks, so I wear my own socks, and then I'll just like cut the tops off the socks we have to play in, and so it's fine. So I guess that's sort of one way around it. Sometimes like your jackets are like like almost like netting on the inside, and that to me, if I think about it too much, I'm like, get it off me now, because it's like it's really causing me like a lot of distress. So I guess I sometimes do like wear my own like trackers and stuff, and then but it's not branded, so then we can't really wear it. So sometimes there isn't a way around it, and I just have to like put my headphones on, listen to music, and distract myself from whatever textures and stuff are going on, because I'm quite a big like touch and sense things. They really like throw me off guard almost. So I think it's just sort of learning what what triggers you definitely can help sort of you like you in your day to day.
But again, I think that's a great insight. Again, I think like understanding these things and making people aware of it, like in a general world of being aware of some of these situations. But then also you put it into sporting context. Like we ask everybody in the team to wear the same kit, to look uniforms, because that's what we say our teams need to look like. And then we then don't consider, is there a textual sensation which people are uncomfortable with, or is there something that then affects people mentally? So like for yourself as an example, if someone says, right, well, here's your tracksuit, here's your socks, get ready, we're playing New Zealand in a semi-final, how are we going to expect you to be performing to your best if we've then done that, knowing what we now know? I think it's a really, and I'm guessing you're not asking for specialist like support in terms of you just turn up with what you want, but you would want support around what is it that makes you feel comfortable prior to a game so you can perform, because it's about performing, isn't it? It's about doing your ability on the pitch, not everywhere else always.
There's kind of another one that springs to mind, is that we often get like new kit, and especially match kit, and the sensation for me of like wearing brand new clothes really throws me off. So like sometimes the coaches they'll just wash it before the game, so then it's not like something new in your environment, and it's not like, it doesn't feel weird, and it's actually really helpful. And like I do appreciate sometimes that quite a lot, but I don't think people necessarily get that. So I guess like for like grassroots clubs and stuff, like if you get a new kit, just maybe just like take the labels off, take the stress out of stuff. It really does help.
And it's funny because it just got me thinking again. So Noah played last week and they've got a brand new kit, and he wore his match day socks for the first time because he wanted to be like everybody else. And halfway through the warm up, we told him to go inside and put his own socks on because he could not get through the warm up because the texture was just not right.
Yeah,
he just knew it. So he took it. He put his own socks on, and then we came home and we've actually cut his club socks now, so he'll wear his own socks and put his club socks over the top. But it's a small thing. But again, like I just think learning this and sharing this with people, and whether you're at a professional club, whether you're in the junior environment, I think it's about learning about your players, but it's also about just understanding that it's not an ism. It's not like I just want to be different, or I need this because I want to. It's not because I've seen such a body do it. It's because this is what I need in order to be able to do it. I think it's just, that's what I mean. I think it's a great conversation. Like I think what you're doing is, and like we said before, I think what you're doing is sharing this will open up the minds and the world for so many people. I think it's amazing. And the last bit would be is well done, because if you keep the kit man, as you know, on side, it's always better.
The extra pieces.
Yeah, that's what you'll have to one day learn. You got to keep the kit man on your side, because the kit men are the most important people at the clubs. No, that's brilliant. No, really, really good. I really want to thank you very much for your time so far. It's been absolutely brilliant. We are going to move into our quickfire questions, which, as we're starting to learn, are not always quickfire, but I reckon you're going to change that today. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm hoping so.
Tatjana, you've got your hand raised.
Got a question. Before we jump into that, I was just wondering, from more of a female perspective. So, of course, when it comes to neurodiversity in general, like women are like, they mask it more.
Yeah,
they're not that. Like more men are diagnosed than females, etc. And you've mentioned, of course, how neurodiversity is pretty hidden in rugby at the very beginning. Could you do you have an idea why it is like that? Mainly focusing on like the women's rugby, I guess, because I think once again, because it comes to masking and stuff, maybe it's a bit easier.
I think rugby is like seen as definitely a male-dominated sport, and from a female side of things, we're almost playing catch up to sort of be at the same level, be at the same like almost equality in pay, especially. And I think us not necessarily complaining, but like this is certainly how I feel, is that if I was then to give myself another disadvantage, it's almost like, well, then I'm even further behind. So it's much easier to mask things. And I guess if people don't know what that means, you almost just try and fit in. You really try and do things that maybe aren't your natural characteristics, so then people don't see you as strange. There's loads of things which, of course, right now are completely blank in my mind. But there's loads of things day to day which I really do mask. So like, I guess I'm always making noises, and I'm not aware of it until I am made aware. So then me trying not to make noises is really challenging. I'm then like, I feel like I'm about to explode. I guess that's something that I mask. But I think definitely from a female perspective, it's almost like you're given like a mold that you have to fit into because this is what men do. And I think that we can definitely change that stigma, because women and men are so different in so many ways. But like, people watch men's rugby for a different reason they watch female rugby. And I think like if we are just allowed to be our true self, then that almost like puts our pathways a lot more on their own sort of road. And I think when like female athletes, there's so many in the world that they just follow their own rules, and I think that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to be anyone else. I'm just trying to be me. And if people don't like that at the end of the day, then that's okay. They don't need to have anything to do with me, and I don't have anything to do either. And I guess that might be a bit cutthroat to some people, but like, it's no biggie to me if you don't want to understand me. So I guess just try and be yourself, no matter how hard it is.
That was beautiful. I think because of course you mentioned before how like you feel guilty because you can't show other like younger girls to like be themselves more, but you just did that, so perfectly explained.
Okay, quick fire questions. What is your super strength?
I think on pitch I'd say I'm quite aggressive, and I think people would agree with that. I get called a nugget, which I'm not. It's not my favourite thing at the moment, but I don't think I can escape it. I get called a nugget because I'm quite aggressive. I'm always working. I guess off the pitch, I think I'm quite fun to be around. I don't take life too seriously, and I think that's the best way to be.
Nice. What would be your biggest weakness?
Weakness, gosh, on pitch, absolutely nothing. No, I'm joking. I'm probably not the fastest, yeah, but I'm never going to be the fastest. That's why I'm not a winger. So I have a slightly different job on the pitch. Off pitch, I think probably like understanding people's emotions like is quite a challenge for me.
Nice. And what is your most memorable sporting moment?
Playing at the Commonwealth Games. It was a home games in Birmingham, 2022. My family was there, packed out the stadium, playing for England. It was really like I think it's still my first season. So I guess from the start of my season to the end of that season, it really sort of took off, and yeah, it was just a really memorable time.
Nice.
Amazing. What would be your biggest learning moment?
I think definitely understanding myself sort of post my diagnosis. As I said, my sort of emotions around it was I went in myself. I was really upset. I didn't understand why it was happening to me. I felt like a bit alienated, I guess, from like the normal world. And then it sort of clicked that I was like, I'm still me. I can just learn to sort of that I might need more time with some things, and other things like I really enjoy, like hyperfixate on things. And if I share a fact with you, just take it. And you don't necessarily have to listen to it, but just know that it's something that I'm interested at the time. So I think just definitely around my diagnosis has helped me understand myself a lot more.
Perfect. And then how do you think that diversity defies sport?
I think there's so many different sort of people in rugby. I think the phrase is rugby is for anyone, it's for any shape, size, anyone, but it really is for anyone sort of mentally as well. It gives me such like an environment to be myself, and it really gives me a job at the end of the day, but also gives me such happiness. Like, it gives me a life. I get to travel to places. I meet so many people. I've got so many friends. I've got friends that are like nearly like basically like double my age. Like I would never have that in normal life, and I laugh at times when they're like, oh, you're so young, and I'm like 35, whatever. But I don't see them as 35. Like, to me, you're like you're my friend, and I think it's great.
You've just killed me. Double my age, and you say 30, 35 that old. Oh,
my maths might be a bit off there.
He always does this, yeah. Okay, and then best for last, how do you hope this podcast helps our listeners and anyone?
I guess from a neurodivergent aspect, I would want it to just like a reminder to keep being yourself. Take time like when you need it, but also keep enjoying the things that you like doing. And I guess for anyone trying to understand people like me, is just to maybe give us like an extra second. Don't judge us off face value. Like we might say things sometimes that we'll end up regretting, but I guess if you can let us be ourselves, it really is quite. I appreciate it massively when people just like let me be myself and they don't judge me too much.
Absolutely brilliant. Look, once again, it's been a really good conversation. Want to thank you very much for being so open, sharing your journey with us, and just letting us learn a lot more about you, Alicia. So thank you very much.
No, thank you for having me.
Wishing you the very best of luck in the next few weeks. A couple of big journeys and some big competitions, and hopefully in the future we can get you back on and have another catch up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, thank you very much. Cheers.
Thanks so much.
You.
Tatjana, that was another great interview. How refreshing was it to hear Alicia talk?
No, she's just, there you go, there's a ray of sunshine. That's literally what she is. Like she was so just nice and warm, and so many great examples, and just open, which is amazing considering that she doesn't really do these things, and she doesn't like the meet and greets and that kind of sharing and social aspect. So it was just really nice, warm to hear her.
Yeah, and that's all what we call. Hear a female voice there. But I also agree with you. It was refreshing, but as well, it was the idea around like hearing it from the athlete's point of view. So we've had some really good older coaches who've had a little bit more time probably processing it and have the thoughts around it. And again, listening to herself, she's got some links with Mike and she's got some links with Noah where it's a lot of self like searching and figuring out herself and actually at times going, I just do it because I think it's right for me, but then when you dig deeper and we share the stories, everybody, you can just see the connection of being a little bit more open, being a bit more aware of themselves, understanding how to let the people in to help them and how to look after themselves at the same time. I just think, again, like we said in the podcast, really inspirational and a really good conversation.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. But just looking forward to more. But and hopefully another catch-up session episode with her as well in the future.
Yeah, no, it'd be really good.
Wish her the best of luck.
So thank you very much for your time today, as always. Really appreciate your help supporting. And I will see you at the next podcast.
Yeah, and then of course, thanks to our listeners. Don't forget to like and subscribe, follow along, and also message us on Instagram, Beyond Perception Podcast, for any questions you might have or anyone you would like to hear as well.
So, thank you very much, everyone. See you next week.
See ya.